So, where was I at? Hello and welcome now to this video. I will make this a little bit faster because I already did all of this and somehow my voice didn't have to record, so I had to do this all now again. As I promised, I wanted to load up a video with the talent trees and the talents, what the talents look like, so I'm going to show this to you really fast now. So, whoops, here you go. You got Juggernaut, charge every 12 seconds instead of 20. Double Tom, charge twice in the same duration, in one cooldown basically. So you can charge twice, and then you get the trigger for the 20 seconds cooldown. No, after the first charge, the 20 seconds cooldown is already running, but you can still charge, because if you charge right, let's say you wait 20 seconds, then you can charge basically 3 times almost. Warbringer stuns the target for 3 seconds and knocks it down. Definitely PvP, not going to talk about. You will do double time or Juggernaut, which really depends on what you want to do. If you want to, where you need your charge, it really depends how the encounter is designed. You have to decide it for yourself then. I might make another video when all is live, really later on, but not now. So the next tree is the healing tree, if I want to say so. Get your enriched regeneration, or beloved friend, 1 minute cooldown, cost of 60 rage, quite high. Heals you for instantly for 10% of your heal, of your life, and additional 10% over 5 seconds. The clue is, if you use it while you're enraged, it doesn't cost anything. No rage cost there at all. You got the second wind ability. You already had something like that in Kether. Basically, when you ever hit a life below a certain point, 35% in this case, you regenerate 30% health per second, which is a lot. But if you get overshot over this point instantly, of course, you regenerate nothing. Also, if you get immobilized or struck by anything, you gain 20 rage over 10 seconds. That means you get 2 rage per second. If you know you will get immobilized or stunned, you should use this one, basically. Or use Impending Victory, which is also awesome. 30 seconds cooldown, heals you instantly for 10% of your life, and deals 12k damage, which, well, is not that much, but for 10 rage, pretty much a filler if you don't have enough rage for your abilities anymore. Because, well, that happens as a warrior, you can't ever be sure. So it all knocks basically down to, if slowed stun, I would recommend second wind. Depends if you need this, need a lot of heal. Do you get a lot of AE damage over a fight? I would rather suggest Impending Victory over the whole fight. Do you just get, let's say, like I said it, like the Imperial, which I have to change. I still haven't done that. The second boss video I posted, the long one with the 2 tries, that's not the right boss I set there, so I have to change it. When he does his shout, I would rather recommend use enriched regeneration. It's a little bit off the 1 minute cooldown mark, but basically if you use every 1 minute he uses a big AoE damage, you rather would use this one instead of Impending Victory, of course. Unless, of course, it holds longer than 30 seconds, but that's usually not the case. So the next one is the shout section. You get your staggering shout, which shoots every enemy in 20 yards if the target is snared for 5 seconds. Piercing Call, 10 rage costs. Awesome, 15 yards slow for 15% for 15 seconds. You all know that one, that's, well, already exists. Disrupting Shout, new one. Basically just an interrupt, AoE interrupt, but definitely a PvP talent, unless you have a lot of interrupt and you don't have the setup or you can't rotate that much interrupts. If you're playing 10-man, that might really be the case. So, could be interesting to take with you. Staggering Shout, Piercing Hall, I would rather suggest taking Piercing Hall. Unless you have 2 warriors, then you should make out, okay, you're going to take Staggering Shout, now I'm going to take Piercing Hall, and then you combine it. If you have a lot of ads like Elegon, the one starts with a Piercing Hall, and the other one uses Staggering Shout, and the ads got rooted, and you just have a little bit stress. The other one, let's say Mage places a Ring of Frost, you can all place your stuff then, or stun it all together. They're all rooted, they can't do anything. The next one is the AoE section. You get your Blade Storm, already known, does 120% weapon damage per second for 6 seconds and an 80-yard radius. Well, like the old Blade Storm, you can't be stunned or slowed or feared or everything else. It has a 1.5 minute cooldown, yeah, right. Shockwave has a 20 seconds cooldown, doesn't cost any rage, stuns everything for 20k damage in a AoE cone before you for 4 seconds, has a range of 10 yards. I would suggest, if you don't have just like, if you have an ad spawn like in, how should I say it, like Yozai, you would rather take the Blade Storm instead of the Shockwave. Do you need to stun the ads and do shit with them? I would rather suggest the Shockwave. Also, if you have a single target DPS fight, I would also take the Shockwave, because it's instant, doesn't cost any rage, and the 20.6k damage is not that less, because it's like an average hit that you have. It's a filler that you can use if you don't have any rage, like Impending Victory, just only for damage and no rage cost. Dragon Roar does a lot of damage, but has a lot of cooldown, and it doesn't really have any reason to be existing at all for PvE. It's merely a PvP talent. You can say that, by the way, it stuns and do stuff. It might be possible that it could be used in a huge AoE fight where you have to stun your ads and do shit with them, and just a 1 minute you can use it. And Shockwave, for example, the ads would die too fast and it would just come in 1 minute. You can use it twice. Then Dragon Roar, okay, then I can accept it. The next one is Defense 1. You got your Mass Spell Reflection, 1 minute cooldown, instant no rage costs. Works like Spell Reflection for the part like you get every party or raid member in 20 yards get the same effect for 5 seconds like Spell Reflection. Interesting for PvP and PvE. Still depends on which boss abilities you really can use it. I haven't found that much yet, so don't know yet. Safeguard, if you don't know, just pick Safeguard. You can't do anything wrong with this. You get people out of snares, you get movement in the fight if you can't charge, but you still want to move faster, or your tank it's got high damage tank spikes on the tank. You want to use it on the tank then. It's really awesome and really good if you want to, but you have to be able to handle it, of course. But it's a lot of easier than Intervene Wars, because there you have to stand switch into stuff, but now you can all use everything in all the same stances. Vigilance. Dangerous talent, and I would be rather cautious with this one. It has a 2 minute cooldown, which is very long for a boss fight. That's averaged about 5 minutes, 6 minutes. 8 minutes is a pretty much long fight, so you can use it in a long fight for 4 times. That's not much. Also, Vigilance just basically kills you because you have to take it on the tank. You can't just place it on a random player because you can't be sure that this player gets damage. And if you don't get any damage for 12 seconds, your vigilance is just for nothing. But you get a lot of it. You get an enrage, and especially if you're playing Fury, that means that you can use a Raging Blow. And that's really much. You get it always when he gets damage. You get enrage. Every time he gets damage, you get enrage, and you can use Raging Blow. That's a lot for 12 seconds. If you have good healers, you can do this, but you shouldn't do it at the start of the expansion unless you have really just good healers and you're really lacking DPS. That's just... and I would do it in cooldowns and stuff like this. Now we come to the DPS cooldowns. Basically, get the avatar can't be snared, or any movement impairing effects won't work on you. You're immune. You gain 20% extra damage and 30% extra rage gain for 20 seconds. Has a 3-minute cooldown. It's Death Wish, just different a little bit, of course. It's not the same spell, but it's a replacement for Death Wish, basically. Then you get the Bloodbath. Those two talents are... I'm not quite sure yet. I made it on the first try of making the video. I've showed it that Bloodbath was a lot of weaker. That's because the problem is with Bloodbath, you hit your target, you apply the debuff. It ticks, and then you reset it. So it can't tick for the full damage. If you say you attack it, switch your target, attack, switch your target, attack, then Bloodbath does a whole lot of damage. That's insane what damage you can push out of this. But if you can't do this, then there's not really reason. If you combine it with Bladestorm, Bloodbath is an awesome spell that does a lot of damage. If the ads live at least 6 to 12 seconds. That's the minimum. Also the 1 minute cooldown makes it quite good. This combination, Bloodstorm 1.5 minute cooldown and 1 minute cooldown, is really huge for big AoE fights. That's where I would use Bloodbath. Stormbolt is just useless. I made it out in the first try of the video. There is just the Spirit Kings. We get this boss, I don't know which one it was. If I remember right, it was the Rogue. He casts a spell where you can stun it, or you have to stun it, because if he's stunned you don't get the debuff, where you get like 50% more damage. 50% more damage, that's right. So sometimes he will be immune to stun if you chain stun because of the diminishing return. That's of course. And then Stormbolt would do a lot of damage, but I doubt it. I really do doubt it. It's hard to try out how much damage it actually will be. You just can like suggest, because you've never had a target that was immune to stun. Oh, I just read it. That are permanently immune to stun, not that are just now immune to stun. So it does almost every time on bosses, so it's different. It's shitty on the Spirit Kings, because you can't use it because it stuns. So the boss is not permanently immune to stun, so it doesn't do a lot of damage. But still, 300% damage for 30 seconds cooldown. It's hard to say. But I really doubt it, because otherwise you won't have anything that you could combine with your recklessness, and it's nice to have a little bit crit, but to have nothing behind it, that's not that awesome. Also, Skull Banner and Avatar are just linked together, one macro, and you got it 20% extra crit for 10 seconds for all of your people and Avatar. For 20 seconds, 20%. Well, so in the end it comes down to Bloodbath and Avatar, and Bloodbath I would rather suggest for AoE fights if you're good at it. If you really can handle it and do switch a lot of the targets, then it's awesome. Otherwise I would rather suggest taking Avatar, because it's just more lining up with your cooldowns, and you want to line up as much cooldowns as possible.